Okay, so let's dive in. So bring up a slide. We're going to start with why we should stop touching base, checking in, and what we're going to stay instead. And I would like, Meg, if you don't mind, I feel like you do an awesome job of starting this early on in the conversation. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. So that's actually the key to this whole thing, is starting it early on in the process. So when you have that first call with a prospect, even if it's like super early on, maybe it's a cold call, maybe you're in like your first discovery call, you've got to start early on holding them accountable, because what it does is it puts them in a position where they're expecting you to actually communicate with them, but you're expecting something back from them. So a couple of things that I do, again, early on, often, and right off the bat. One of my favorite things to do is when I'm sending an email, right? We send emails all day long. I skip the niceties. So I don't necessarily put in a lot of stuff about like the weather or like my sports team that won or whatever. And I'm not doing it because I'm being mean. What I'm doing is doing it because I want them to read exactly what I want, where I want it. There was some data I saw the other day, and this is probably a little bit older now. I bet you the percentage is even higher, but 80% of email is read on a mobile device. So if you're thinking about reading that email on a mobile device, how many scrolls are you going to go through, right? I got one, maybe two before I like lose track and decide to go to another email, right? So what we want to do is put that call to action right up front. What you're doing is conditioning the prospect early on that you're going to be direct, you're going to be upfront, not annoying, but you're going to give them what they want.
Yep, I agree. And I think this could also depend on where you are in the sales cycle, right?
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
If you're having a conversation with someone and you know them and you've already had multiple conversations, I'm more likely to skip the formalities, skip the niceties. Maybe if we're new, if it's a cold message, add in a little bit.
Sure.
Maybe a little bit. We can A/B split test that, check it out.
Absolutely.
I really like Adrienne mentioned in the chat over here, am I being a nuisance yet? Right? And getting that response back and saying, you know, yes. Even if it is, but it's a response.
Yeah.
And I know we don't always celebrate the negative, but it's a response.
Yeah, it's a response. And so that, it's something we're going to talk about a little bit more about, the idea of gauging engagement, right? So our job is to figure out, you know, are these people interested in having conversations with us, right? Are they interested in actually exchanging a dialogue? But the way that you do that is like getting them on the hook early on and letting them know that you are in control. So one of the things that I am just like a huge believer in is the fact that like you control the sales process. The sales process does not control you. You control the prospect does not control you. And if you keep that in the back of your head, you're not going to be annoying. You're going to be in charge. You're going to exude confidence. And when you do that, you actually are coming across as somebody that is, again, in control, has power, has authority, and that's actually what the prospect wants at the end of the day, right? So I'm all about keeping it short, keeping it sweet, avoiding the, you know, the niceties. It doesn't mean that you're, you know, you have to be like, this is a really annoying thing and please
respond. I need you to respond right now. That's it.
But you can skip the whole, like, you know, stuff in the front that we don't need. How many of you, and this isn't a poll, so I'm rhetorically just asking you all this question, you can put in the chat, but you know, how many of you literally start your emails with, hope you're having a great day, or, you know, hope things are going well? It's not my favorite.
Are you the person, tell me in the chat, like if this is you or you know somebody, you call them and they won't pick up the phone, but they'll text you back right away.
Yeah.
Or you text them and they don't respond, but they are messaging you on Instagram
or LinkedIn or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like everyone has their own way of communication. Right. If we're walking down this hallway and each of our prospects is on a hallway, we got to try all the doors.
Right.
We got to try all of them. We got to try email. Yeah. Email's filled with all these people knocking on their like email's the easiest thing to do.
Sure.
We can set them up, send them out, good to go.
Yeah.
But we got to try different things. We have to see what people like, and everyone's different. What's your favorite way for me to get a hold of you?
Video.
Video.
Yep. So, well, I mean, text me, but you'd have to have my number. I mean, you do.
You have to have approval.
You have to have approval to text me. No, just kidding.
Signed
Video.
approval.
Video is really key for me. So, and I know a lot of you mentioned, a couple of you mentioned your account managers, you're in CS, and so this is something that I want to point out directly to you. Video communication to your customer base is going to give you such a positive result. I can't begin to tell you. At first, it's going to feel awkward and weird. And the same thing goes for net new sales too. Like really anyone in the room, if you haven't tried video before, I use video in a variety of different things, whether it's to explain like a particularly long email that maybe I need to write out with like next steps. I'll just do like a video short. I'll do like from an onboarding perspective, if I need them to just know like 2 or 3 different details, I'll do that. Like it's a great way to kind of get your face literally in front of them, right? And then also just mix it up. And it almost gives them permission to try something new too, which I like because it can get like, those doors are scary.
Yeah.
You know, you don't know what's coming. And it's nice to sort of build out a little bit of that consistency and have that kind of, okay, I'm going to try video. Great. You're going to try video. Awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
What is a quick tip to get more comfortable on video? Maybe some practice tips there, because it's not easy in the beginning. We all know that.
Yep. Yep. So, you know, and embrace the awkward. I tried it out a couple years ago at first, and I just did it with colleagues. So I'd send like video messages. I'd get first and foremost just like hold the phone in a place that was comfortable. Then I actually invested in like a selfie stick, and then I invested in a tripod. You've got a few
stick,
of those, I
shout
know.
out.
Yeah. And I did the things that kind of made me feel comfortable. The biggest thing I can tell you is don't overthink it. Don't script it. Have a conversation into the camera, get out your points. If you need to have like a lot of apps have like room for notes. So if you just need to put like a couple of talking points, do that. Practice, and it's gonna be great. Now listen, if you do practice and you're sending it and you're like, God, that's gross. I don't want to ever do that again. I'm going to challenge you to do it again.
Keep trying.
Keep
Yes.
trying it. You got to get over the hump. You got to get over the initial ugh. And then once you do that, it's awesome. It truly has changed the way, not only how I sell, but just how I communicate with our existing clients.
Your sample size, like my first sample size, I sent 3 videos, and I was like,
Yeah.
nope, not
Yeah,
doing
hard
it.
pass, hard
You have to like really have a larger sample size.
Right.
But I will say too, for those of you, I know there's a lot of people chiming in about video, and we use a variation, Vidyard, also like direct through LinkedIn messaging if you're first degree connected with them.
Yep.
I would say the other thing to try when we're talking about channels is audio messages. And for me, it's performing really similar. So if you're not comfortable, like for me, it's always like I open my phone and I see all of my chins looking back, and I'm like staring there,
That's
like
not
my
a good
phone,
look.
and I'm like, oh no, I never want to open my phone
horrifying,
again. My camera
horrifying.
just looked at me. So if you like flip your phone around, if you want to try video, or go audio message. Audio message, it's performing at the same open and response rate for me personally.
Okay.
And I know that's a little bit different for everyone. Cut you off at 60 seconds
Right.
if you're using LinkedIn, so you're not going to go on for too long.
Yeah. I'm going to try that. I actually have not been using audio as much.
Does anyone audio text with their family or their friends? Just like on, and text message I know is a little bit different, but you can send a LinkedIn audio voice note
You sure
as
can.
well.
My little sister does that in our siblings text. She does. She's a big. I don't think she's watching this, but if she was, I love your audio text. Thank you.
I think it's different, and that's a big piece of it is just showing up different than everyone else who's in there.
Right.
in
It's
their
just
inbox.
it's an overpopulated space right now, and it that certainly depends on the industry that you're selling into and the industry that you're coming from. If you're selling in a SaaS space right now to a private equity backed firm, you are in a very tight marketplace at this moment in time. So you have got to come up with ways to differentiate yourself and to stand out and to provide value.
I think the biggest thing is having some sort of plan, some sort of approach. And a lot of people do, but typically that consists of the 2 channels. So let's vary it up. Also, most people give up too early on. There's crazy statistics that a lot of us are giving up reaching out to a specific organization or prospect of ours after 2, 3, 4, 5 touches because we run out of things to say, being able to come up with something different every time. Are you interested in this? No. Well, how about that? No. Okay. Well, how about this? Right. So we're coming back with something different every time. And we're trying those different doors in the hallway, different channels, seeing how they personally want to be communicated with. I think also just really being familiar with who's the best fit for your organization.
Yeah.
Who's the best fit?
Great.
And that could be different for my organization than it is for me personally. I know I love prospecting into people in engagement, and your favorite is?
I love like the talent acquisition space,
Industry-wise?
like people management software, that kind of thing. For me, those are my peeps.
Yeah. So just like knowing where people you find favor with, looking at your past wins and seeing if there's some sort of pattern that emerges, that really helps. I know we're coming back to the question here. I went on a wild ride. But coming back to your question, when we're thinking about being persistent there, let them know at the end of your sequence or cadence, whatever you're doing, just be like, hey, it looks like this isn't a priority for you right now. No biggie. I'm gonna let you be. I know a few people mentioned humor in the chat here. I'm gonna let you be for a little bit, but I'll be back in 3 months. Or I'll be back in a couple months and see if it's a better time for you.
Right.
Even if they've never responded, you're managing their expectations.
Right. Yeah, look at that. Full circle there.
I know, full
That was
circle.
amazing. I'm a big fan of one word update, question mark. Next steps, question mark. Feedback, question mark. I've been known to want to send other things in subject lines that probably are not appropriate.
You still eat them.
Yeah. But those are the ones that come to mind.
Yeah, those are great.
I don't use checking in, following up. That's not true. I will use following up if it's truly, I actually don't use following up. I do follow up. Like, this is the follow-up email. But I only do that if I'm literally sending a follow-up email from a big call. Otherwise, if it's something else, I use update, that kind of thing.
Yep. Recap on our conversation.
Yep.
I like that. And
It's me again.
What about dropping emojis in that subject line?
I just saw that in the chat. I think this varies and it's like personal comfort level.
Yeah.
I see some people do phenomenal with this. And it stands out in a business email inbox. You have a ton of them in your Gmail account or Yahoo, Hotmail. I don't know where where are people at these days. But you have a lot of them in your personal account, but not so much in business. I think there's probably like a work appropriate emoji list somewhere, like what can be used. I don't feel comfortable with it, but I do love symbols. So the straight line down or like a slash
or like the
or
little
the double
triangle
carrots.
things, yeah.
Greater than, less than
Right, that's what I
signs.
was going for.
Plus, I think it just stands out a little
I
bit
agree with
different.
that.
Pattern interrupt.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not a huge emoji
Symbols over emojis for you?
Yeah, 100%. Symbols over emojis.